Presentation of Fox Sports.
We are sports. We are Sun.
The big bats of the Blue Jays have been on display at the Trop over the last 2 days, powering Toronto to consecutive wins. Tonight, right-hander Jake Odorizzi has the task of taming the Jays lineup, with Tampa Bay looking for win number 1 in 2016. Tonight at Tropicana Field, the opening series of the brand new season continues. This will be game 3 of a 4-game series featuring the Toronto Blue Jays and the Tampa Bay Rays. Hi again, everyone. Welcome to an evening of Rays baseball. Great to have you with us. With Brian Anderson, Dwayne Stats. Well, the Rays have dropped the first 2 games of this series, BA, but not without great effort. And last night, not atypical to have that effort led by Kevin Kiermaier.
Well, listen, Kevin Kiermaier can affect the game with his legs more so than any other player in Major League Baseball. When you go back to last night's game, there are 2 great examples of it. First of all, everybody knows how aggressive and explosive Kevin is out of the box. That puts defenders on alert. Now here, Jose Bautista tries to throw behind him because of the aggressive turn. Kevin Kiermaier, very little reaction, gets right into second base trying to get his team fired up. And then this play right here, down 5-1 in the bottom of the 5th, he is going to challenge Kevin Pillar in center field, who's got a good arm and he's very accurate with it, but he adds that dimension of pressure, and with pressure you get the bad throw. That would lead to this right here, a wild pitch. He comes all the way around to score. Now listen, wasn't enough in last night's game, but you see what he is capable of bringing each and every night, and boy does he.
So the Rays have dropped the first 2 games of this series by identical scores of 5-3. Kiermaier last night, 3 hits and 3 official at-bats. So Jake Odorizzi will go to the mound tonight for the Rays, trying to get them on the winning side of the ledger. And when we come back, Todd Callis will take a look at Odorizzi, and he may have a little different game plan tonight.
season debut in 2016. Baltimore and Texas, his 2 previous season debuts. He is not allowed to run in over 12 innings in those 2 starts combined. Remember when Odorizzi learned that split change, the Cobb change, if you will, from his buddy Alex Cobb? He kind of fell in love with it towards the end of last year and really throughout the 2015 season, to the point where, in our Toyota Inside Look, he threw the changeup more than anybody else in baseball. John Danks was relatively close at almost 29%, but almost 1/3 of Jake's pitches were that changeup. The curveball almost went away entirely, and for Jake, he'd like to be a little more unpredictable this season.
I think I used it too much last year in a lot of situations, but I really worked hard in spring on using my other 3 pitches, so now I'm more of a complete pitcher as opposed to a 2-pitch pitcher who has 2 other pitches that don't translate, I guess. So I really put a lot of emphasis on that, and I'm really happy with how everything feels going into the season. So I'm just ready to go, manufacture outs and get as many as I can.
A good test for that arsenal with the Toronto Blue Jays, having scored 5.5 runs a game last year, and they've scored 5 in each of the first 2 this season. Odorizzi and the Rays trying to avoid an 0-3 start for just the 2nd time in franchise history. First pitch and lineup right around the corner.
Tonight at Tropicana Field, it will be 26-year-old right-hander Jake Odorizzi trying to get the Rays a victory here tonight over the American League East defending champion Toronto Blue Jays. Starting lineup tonight presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Kevin Pillar is going to lead it off, playing center, followed by Josh Donaldson and then Jose Bautista. The DH is Edwin Encarnacion. Short Tulowitzki again in short. Justin Smoke is in the lineup, hitting in the number 6 spot, playing first base. Michael Saunders, a big home run last night, hit 7th in front of Russell Martin. Ryan Gomes, the second baseman, will bat 9th.
Well, we already heard from Jake Odorizzi talking about his mix of pitches, and that's one of the keys to success tonight. Brought to you by Toyota, keys to success, a better mix. So it'll be interesting to watch tonight how he mixes the cutter, the curveball to go along with that changeup. We know the fastball will lead the way. What will the secondary mix look like? And own the zone. The other thing that Jake Odorizzi does when he is successful is he moves that ball around the zone. Up, down, in, and out. He's not afraid to use all four quadrants.
First pitch of this game is a strike call. Fastball on the outside part of the plate. First pitch presented by Pinch-A-Penny. 1-1. Pilar with a couple of hits in the series, both coming opening day when he singled in a run in the fourth inning of that game. Made that great catch last night, robbing Steve Pearce. There's a base hit between Morrison and the bag. Souza up with it. They'll hold Pilar to a single.
Now that was a nice job by Kevin Pilar. You know, he's a line drive type of hitter who's not afraid to use the whole field, but credit Steven Souza Jr. for keeping Pilar to just a single. Right off the bat, this ball looked like it had the potential to be a double close to the line, but Souza Jr. hustling over, able to cut it off, spin and throw, and hold Pilar to just a single.
Well, the top two hitters here in this lineup, Pilar and Donaldson, have given Odorizzi a little trouble. Pilar's now 4 out of 8 against him. Donaldson 2 of 8, both those hits home runs. So it's major problems with these two guys right from the get-go. Strike the count to Donaldson. Buick GMC big matchup in the AL MVP numbers from a year ago. Boy, he was troubled for a lot of pitchers. 123 runs batted in, 122 runs scored, and 41 home runs. Hit 297.
Well, he's a student of the game, a student of hitting, understanding sequences, knowing what pitchers are trying to do to him, excuse me.
1-1. Well, Donaldson last night hit the changeup a long way, belting his first home run of the year, connecting off Drew Smiley.
And you figure that that's a pitch where there's a little bit of anticipation. You know, 3-1, not going to probably give me the heater.
It's going to be a foul ball and heads out of play.
Yeah, that goes back to the first game against Chris Archer, taking a base hit into right field early in the game to keep an inning going. And it was on what was a pretty good slider down and away. But he said during the course of that at-bat, he had made me look bad on a slider early in the at-bat, and I knew that he would eventually get back to it. He did get back to it. It was a pretty good pitch, but he was anticipating it and was able to line it into right field for a base hit.
Boy, that's what smart hitters do. That's a strike call, and Donaldson caught looking right there.
And when you look at Fox Tracks, look at the way that Jake Odorizzi just moved that ball around the zone, out of the zone, before freezing him on a pretty standard fastball on the outside corner. Just power it. Four seam right there. Perfectly placed, but look at where the other ones were setting that pitch up.
First time he'd seen a pitch in that at bat out there. Sometimes it looks a lot farther away than it really is. And it was on the corner.
Yep.
Strike call to Jose Bautista. Talking about what good hitters do, we saw what good pitchers do there with that pitch from Odorizzi. There goes Pilar. Good jump, throw down, not in time.
Now, there was two things at play there. Three things, actually. The good jump that you talked about, the fact that he ran on an off-speed pitch in the dirt, number two, and then Hank Conger gets a little bit long here in his mechanics. You see that little hitch as he pulls that ball out of the glove. So you had three things working against you there. Just a long throwing motion to go with an off-speed in the dirt and a good jump, no chance.
And it's no secret that was a problem with Conger a year ago with Houston. He only threw out one base runner all year, and the Rays Spent time with him on the throwing side of his game this spring. But that notwithstanding, they so value his ability behind the plate to help his pitcher get called strikes with the framing ability that he has.
When you get an entire pitching staff to sing your praises as quickly as they have done with Hank Connor just going through his spring training, you know that you've put the work in to get to know this staff. The fact that you are going to get them the borderline pitch that, you know, listen, with sloppy glove work, maybe it goes the other way.
Bautista out in front. It's 3-2 now.
And that was a cutter. You know, we've seen the cutter already, the curveball. He is definitely trying to mix in the off speed, make this team aware of all of his pitches early in this game. And once again, look at the spread all over the zone.
And inside, Bautista draws the walk. First and second with one away.
Now that's been the only way that Jose Bautista is able to reach up, and Jake Odorizzi is the walk.
Yeah, he's 0 for 13 against Odorizzi. And Edwin Encarnacion, about to step in now, is 2 for 13 against him.
Well, if you're able to handle those two bats, that gives you a great opportunity to have success in that night's game.
Upstairs 1-0. Well, we saw it here in the opening game Sunday, how quickly the Blue Jays lineup could go to work. And they have 2 men on with 1 out in the first inning tonight. Strike on the outside edge. 1-1. Did he go? Yes, he did, says Lance Diaz. And it's 1-2.
Now that was a very good changeup right at the bottom of the zone. Edwin Encarnacion could have gone either way.
Yeah, you know, we saw a couple of those that last night could have gone either way, and they both went for strikes. Same thing here on Encarnacion. 2-2. Boy, when you face this lineup, you're the starting pitcher against these guys. You've got to be ready from the very first pitch. There's no settling in.
You're spending days thinking about execution. You know, that's the most important part of your game that night. And like you said, from pitch one.
Pops him up, but it's a foul out of play. Pitch in. Millar single. Donaldson right there, called out on strikes on a pitch away. Millar with the steal of second. Bautista walked. And a high shot deep to left. Jennings feeling for the wall, is going to have room. He makes the catch. A tag by Pilar. He's on his way to third. Towering fly ball, and thank goodness it was towering, because it gave Jennings just enough room.
There was just enough timing taken out of the swing because it was a changeup, and you're right, the height certainly helped too. He needed all of that right out in front of our sign.
Well, that's good. 2 good things there. Fox Sports Sun got a little extra publicity, and Odorizzi and the Rays got a big out number 2. 2 for the price of 1 right there. Troy Tulowitzki, and a fine stop by Conger.
Boy, the technique was perfect. With a runner on third, a breaking ball in the dirt.
You know, you're talking about how the pitching staff took to Conger right away. Here's one of the reasons why. He does a lot of great things behind the plate like that.
The way that he was able to deaden that ball in front. We've seen, you know, even during the course of the first couple of games of this season, breaking balls in the dirt, bounding away because they're tough to control.
2-0.
The other thing that does is it gives you confidence as a pitcher that if I get into a spot where I'm trying to throw a put away, you know, a two-strike, a breaking ball that I want to bounce or be close, I have the confidence I can do that because I know the guy behind the plate is going to smother it. I'm not trying to feel it in there.
3-0 the count. And the other thing about that, if you've got a guy at third, you don't have to maybe put in your hip pocket one of your big pitches.
Right.
You've got the full arsenal, even with a guy at third.
There's nothing more frustrating than knowing, okay, I want to bounce a breaking ball right here, but I don't have any trust the guy behind the plate's going to be able to handle it, so I can't throw it. And that's a big pitch for me.
There's a strike, 3-1.
There's such an emphasis, you know, really across the game of baseball now on that kind of defense coming from your catcher. And for good reason.
3-1 the count to Tulowitzki, who turned out to be the difference in the game Sunday when he hit the 2-run home run late. Now the count is full.
You know, that's what Jake can do. That elevated fastball works well for him. He's very quiet in his delivery, but at the release, he jumps at the hitter, and that ball jumps up in the zone. And so he's able to take 92 miles an hour, and the swing looks like it was 95, 96.
Popped up, coming straight back out of play. So Bautista returns to first. With 2 outs and a full count, he was off with that pitch. Will be again. Pilar, the runner across the diamond at third. Popped up. Foul ball. Conger back to the screen, but that one is going to be just out of play. He's getting closer to keeping that foul pop in play. That one about 2 or 3 rows behind the screen.
As much as
Three-two again. And he's called out on strikes. Boy, a great pitch right there. Right on the edge to get him looking. Blue Jays do not score. They leave 2. A couple big strikeouts in the inning for Odorizzi to leave those 2 base runners. Rays coming in to hit. Tonight's Rays lineup presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Logan Forsythe again leads it off with Logan Morrison in the number 2 spot in front of Evan Longoria. Dickerson, the DH, hits cleanup. Jennings in left hits 5th. Brad Miller 6th. Steven Souza Jr. 7th, followed by Kevin Kiermaier and Hank Conger.
And they'll be going up against right-hander Aaron Sanchez, making his first start of the season. First start in a long time. He started out of the rotation last year for the Blue Jays, got hurt in June, and when he came back in July, he went to the bullpen, became a big part of their success coming down the stretch out of the bullpen. But here he is, 2016, back in that starting rotation.
This pitch to Foresight, fastball upstairs. Saw the breakout there, 11 starts. 30 appearances out of the bullpen, 7-6 on the year for Sanchez a year ago. Ground ball out of the reach of Tulowitzki, and a base hit for Forsythe, his first hit of the year.
Let's take a look at the Toronto Blue Jay defense and see how that's going to line up here tonight. Brought to you by Gold and Diamond Source. In the outfield, left to right, and Michael Saunders, Kevin Pillar, and Jose Bautista. Across that infield, third to first, Josh Donaldson, Troy Tulowitzki, Ryan Goins, and Justin Smoke, with Russell Martin behind the plate.
A man aboard for Logan Forsythe. And a little adjustment there. We talked about that glove last night of Tulowitzki, and he's got a new one out there.
Well, the strings, you can see right there the way that those fingers were hanging down, that on that dive the strings broke, and the backup now in play. Well, he keeps that awfully loose. You just don't see that very often from an infielder, especially a middle infielder. But he's so good out there, how could you argue with it?
Morrison looks at one down. So Logan Morrison hitting second for the Rays, looking for his first hit in a Rays uniform. And throughout his career, the second spot has been good for him. His lifetime average hitting second is .294. Lifts it toward the line, slicing over there. Saunders has to come back. That turns out to be a fair ball as he makes the catch. Forsythe back in at first. Saunders anticipating more slice than that ball had.
It's tough. You know, you cannot lose sight of the baseball with this roof. With the rubbed up baseball, we talk about it every year. The baseball's rubbed up. The roof here is an off-white color. If you lose track of the baseball, it is very difficult to find it or re-find it. So you get over there, you think you know where it's going to be, and then all of a sudden, uh-oh, it's a couple feet to your left. It was a nice recovery.
Ceiling looks as if it has been rubbed up. Right. Here's Evan Longoria. Takes the ball, 1-0. Evan has started the year swinging the bat well.
Well, and that's what the Rays are going to need from him all season long. You know, he's obviously, you know, the way that it plays out on paper, he's got help this year, but you need Evan to be productive.
Two-0 the count. Take a look at Tulowitzki and watch his glove.
Well, last night it got wedged in there, and this one, that ball was hit so hard by Logan Forsythe, it just burnt the last of those strings on the edge.
3-0 to Evan. Sanchez, just 23 years old. Out of California, out of Barstow High School. Three and one.
Well, Aaron Sanchez, similar to Marcus Stroman in the sense that they have a very lively arm, but it's better at getting ground balls than the strikeout. And that's what he's looking for right here.
Runner on the move and a ground ball too short. Tulowitzki's going to take it to first, so the Rays start the runner Forsythe in an effort to stay away from a potential double play.
Well, it's a smart play because Aaron Sanchez very adept at getting that ground ball, and you got to figure in a 3-1 count you're going to see a good sinker. So get Logan going. If you don't, this inning's over. Now you still got a chance with 2 outs.
See what Corey Dickerson can do against Sanchez. Dickerson homered in the season opener. The Rays now with a man in scoring position. A cut and a miss. Rays last night were 1 out of 12 with men in scoring position, which really made it a frustrating night, dropping that game 5-3.
They were in it all night. They had opportunities all night. And you're right, those are frustrating games.
Dickerson's number is good coming off last year with men in scoring position. Down in the count 0-2.
And he got tied up on that fastball right there. 97 miles an hour. Sanchez yanked it a little bit, wanted it away. It comes back in, but it ties Dickerson up, and he just cannot get the barrel to that baseball in time.
And there is strike 3 call, but he came right back in the exact spot and got him looking. Rays leave a man, no score.
Tropicana Field. Let's set the Rays defense for you real quick. Brought to you by Gold and Diamond Source. In that outfield left to right, we've got Desmond Jennings, Kevin Kiermaier, and Steven Souza Jr. And across the infield third to first, Evan Longoria, Brad Miller, Logan Foresight, and Logan Morrison with Hank Conger behind the plate.
Jake Odorizzi back out there to face Justin Smoke. Pitch fastball up out of the zone. Smoke got into the game late as a defensive replacement last night, had 1 at bat and struck out. 1-1 to count to him here. It's a foul ball, says Lance Diaz. 1-2.
Close.
Laz was right on top of that one, emphatic with his call.
This Cruz, they've earned their money in this series,
Yes.
especially last night.
How about all of that?
Wow.
I mean, there was mass confusion everywhere, even after the game.
I'm still not sure exactly what went down.
Smoke is out on strikes. Well, apparently, from what we've heard, after all that was over, the announcement was on that long delay that both the Blue Jays and the Rays had challenges going. And then there was some question as to whether there were 2 challenges or only 1. And at one point, it almost sounded as if neither team said they were challenging, but it took over 10 minutes to finally sort it all out on whether a ball was caught or not, whether it was fair or foul, all kinds of things that turned out to be mind benders during that stretch. Strike to Saunders. And it was Saunders, you could argue, who benefited from all of that because it was in the middle of the inning and they really froze Smiley out there for 10 minutes. And then he gave up the home run when play resumed. Saunders hit it out to center.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, the official replay time was just over 5 minutes, but all the talking before they went to the headsets and all the talking afterwards, it led to that 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You don't throw a competitive pitch for 10 minutes and then just line up and here you go, and you're liable to make a mistake. And that pitch out over the plate, Saunders, he had a hot spring and a lot of power shown. He was able to get it out to center field.
Foul ball takes the count to 2-2. Yeah, that was strange. First there were 2 challenges, then down to 1. Kevin Cash said he didn't really make a challenge. He said he asked them if that's something that he could challenge, but he never actually said, I'm going to challenge it. I mean, how about all that? In on him, and he strikes him out swinging. Nice right there.
How about all of that? Again, working the ball around the zone, up and down, in and out. Had not seen a pitch close to him the entire at-bat. Then all of a sudden, here comes the fastball. Look at how tied up he is on the swing. That's just a great job by Jake setting that pitch up.
So 2 gone for Russell Martin. The bases are empty. And there's a strike. You know, no pitcher is perfect, obviously, because there aren't many perfect games thrown, but it's fun to watch Odorizzi.
Yeah.
Fun to watch him pitch by pitch. And there's a breaking ball, and it's a ball, 1-1. Because he has an idea with every pitch, and he does a pretty good job of executing most of those pitches. But this truly is pitching here. He's only 26 years old. Well, he comes right back with a curveball there and finds the zone. And he's ahead 1-2. He pitches as if he's been around for 10 or 12 years.
The fact that he came into spring training saying, I want to get better. I was too reliant on the changeup.
Odorizzi heads to first to cover. Takes the toss for Morrison, and Martin's out of there. 1, 2, 3. Go the Blue Jays. Rays coming in to hit. Desmond Jennings will lead it off. A reminder, tonight's Rays telecast can make you a winner. Enter for a chance at tonight's Rays Up to Win prize. 2 field side box tickets and not 1 but 2 Evan Longoria autographed jerseys. The winner will be shown live on air in the 8th inning. Visit RaysBaseball.com/big giveaway to enter. Rays up. Get down to the 8th. Winner will be announced. How about that? They're giving away 2 jerseys. Not 1, 2.
I mean, last night too. It was 2 Archer last night, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I put in for those. And you didn't see me in the 8th, so didn't win.
Desmond Jennings leading off and fouling that first pitch away. Another fastball. Sanchez has started this game fastball after fastball after fastball, ranging from 93 to 97. And there's the first non-fastball he's thrown.
And you know, that kind of fits in with his profile. This is a guy who is fastball heavy, even more so. You know, he'll start creeping into that 90+% range when he's behind in the count. You wonder how that's going to play over the course of a full season as a starter.
Base hit. Fastball sent right back through the middle, and Desmond Jennings is aboard with his 4th hit of the series.
Well, that's what you have to do against a guy that has a good fastball, keeps it down in the zone, trying to get ground balls. You've got to have the up-the-middle approach. You're not going to be able to elevate that ball, but if you stay up the middle, you hit the ball hard through the box. A great job.
Well, through the years, Desmond has hit Blue Jays pitching pretty well, over 300 in his career, and he has a leadoff single here. So the Rays with a base runner, now Brad Miller. One ball, no strikes. Fastball again.
Well, he's going to be pounding Brad Miller down and away with the fastball, because it's been the tendency of Miller on those pitches away to try to pull him. And if you're trying to pull his sinker, you're going to hit a ground ball, you know, right to second base.
There goes Jennings. And the pitch is fouled away. Well, Rays thinking right along with you there, because they had Jennings on the move.
Well, Desmond Jennings, he brings that factor of speed. Yeah, we've seen in past years when he's healthy that he can be a very efficient base stealer. And so in this situation, a guy that's fastball heavy puts some people in motion. Maybe you can find some holes.
One ball and 2 strikes. Fastball in the mid-90s. Fighting that one off, fouling it away. It's accounted a ball and 2 strikes. You know, one thing Sanchez really did well last year is put a limit on the running game against him. And of course, Russell Martin, you give him a chance. If you're a pitcher, there's a better than even chance that they'll throw a runner out.
Best percentage in the game. Then you combine that with the fact that the guy Sanchez on the mound throws a lot of fastballs, so he's given Russell Martin good pitches to handle. He's a great catch and throw guy. That's what helped make him so effective out of the bullpen too. You know, you can limit the running game pitching those important innings, 7th, 8th inning.
Well, they had a competition for this spot in the rotation, and he wanted. Ground ball first, down to second out there, back to first, no throw. So Miller reaches on a fielder's choice. Jennings forced with Tulowitzki taking the throw.
And you're right in that range right there where, you know, if you're Justin Smoke, do I go touch the bag? I mean, yeah, you're that close. You know, maybe if he comes up with that ground ball clean, he can tap first and then try to force Desmond at second. But Takes the sure out.
1 on, 1 out for Steven Souza Jr. Strike 1. Rays left a man at second base in the first. Miller at first, 1 out in the second inning. Liner into left. Saunders over though to make the catch. And Miller retreats to first.
That's frustrating. You know, Steven Souza Jr. did a great job of staying back on that breaking ball and then really exploding on it. Hitting that ball rocket shot, and it's right out at the left fielder, Michael Saunders. You see him getting, this was a good at bat. You know, look at him recognize, stay back, and then get through that baseball, and he smoked it.
Now Kevin Kiermaier. Runner on the move. The pitch is a strike, and the throw is a strike. Kiermaier took that pitch. Miller is caught stealing, and so the Rays lose that base runner. Bottom of the second is over. Kiermaier is going to lead off the bottom of the third instead of hitting here in the second. No score. Bottom of the second inning to wrap up that inning. We saw some of the great work of Russell Martin behind the plate there.
He was out of his crouch and delivering that ball to second base in the blink of an eye. You can see why he has the percentage caught stealing that he does. Best in the league last year.
Ryan Goins leads off the third for the Blue Jays. Takes a pitch upstairs. Take a look at Martin's throw.
And by the way, pretty good jump there by Miller. It didn't matter. He waited and he came out of that crouch and delivered a bullet strike and got him.
Yeah, as you look at that replay, on almost any other catcher, he's probably safe.
Yeah.
But not against Martin. Pilar next, and then Donaldson. It's 1-2. Well, you're always mindful of those hitters, the big bats, Donaldson and Bautista and Encarnacion and Tulowitzki. You're either trying to pitch through those guys or you're trying to keep the guys off base that would be in front of them. In this case, Goins, the number 9 hitter, leads it off. Jammed, a popper foul, and it's going to be caught by LaGloria. Devin getting over there to retire the leadoff man in the third.
Well, that's why a lineup like this is as taxing on you physically as it is mentally, because of what you just talked about, that scenario. You're just constantly thinking how to, how can I maneuver myself around this lineup, limit damage, and hold this team down.
Ball 1 to Pilar. He opened the game with a base hit up the right side. Stole second, eventually went to third when Odorizzi pitched out of a bit of a spot, leaving men at first and third. Lifted to the right side. Foresight angling out, still on the run. He gets there. Boy, that's a nice grab. Logan Forsythe in between Morrison and Souza Jr. And it appeared he got a great jump on that. It was a straight line and made a nice play.
And he was shaded up the middle, so he had a long way to go. That is tremendous. Rays infielder showing a little bit of range on pop-ups this inning.
Yeah, that goes into the books as a pop out, but boy, that is an outstanding play by Forsythe to get there. Now Josh Donaldson. 2 outs, bases empty. And there's a strike. Odorizzi starts him with a fastball. Strike 2.
It just seems like Josh Donaldson is not picking that pitch up. That's what he struck him out with in his first at bat. He comes back with 2 more in the exact same spot, same result, not even getting a swing.
And a little bit wider there. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Donaldson protecting out there, fouls it away. Down on the count, 1-2.
And for Josh Donaldson, a very defensive swing. There was not much aggression in there. It looked like that's just a foul it off type swing, and that's on a fastball. That's a strike fastball. Just having trouble with that pitch, and Jake Odorizzi right now in the outside corner.
2-2. Jake coming into this game, lifetime against Toronto, 2-2 with a .396 earned run average against them, covering 6 career starts. Popped up foul, that will carry out a play. Jake a little over 50 pitches, 2 outs into the third. That's the other thing about this lineup. You have to be so careful that they can run the pitch count up on you quickly. We saw that with Archer struggled a bit in the first inning of the opening game of the year. Swing and a miss. He got him. Strikes him out with the fastball. Bottom of the third coming, scoreless. Flashback, our Geico moment. We saw some great work from Pilar last night. We saw it a year ago as well. John Redmond on the mound. And then how about this play last night to rob Steve Pearce? Fearless, number one.
Yeah, you have to be, because you know you're counting the steps, you know the wall's close, but you're doing anything that you can to make a play for your team. And outside of Kevin Kiermaier, he goes and gets him as well as anybody.
Yeah, you talk about two premier center fielders. We've got him right here tonight. We know all about Kiermaier and how great he is. In fact, he's been, I think it was Buster Olney who called him the Babe Ruth of center fielders. He's so dominant with his defense. And Pilar, I mean, what a player he is in center field, and both give you some offense as well. You hear so much about the defense, but Kiermaier, for an example, last night, 3 for 3. Pilar had a couple of hits in the first game. 1-2 the count now.
And if it wasn't for the injury to Michael Saunders last year, you wonder if Kevin Pilar gets that opportunity to become this guy. He started out left field. We saw that home run that Todd Redmond, well, almost gave up.
Yep.
That was robbed. Yeah, that was in left field. Now he finds himself in center.
How about the run saved right here? Kiermaier's 42 is just off the charts. Pilar 22, and hey, Lorenzo Cain. How about, I mean, Cain?
Yes.
Wow, what an outfielder he is. 18 runs saved there. So Kiermaier out on strike, second strikeout for Sanchez. Boy, that's an exciting part of the game now. When you look around baseball, some of the outstanding defensive players in the outfield, it's so athletic to watch them, and it's a combination of athleticism and a great skill set as well by all of those outfielders we just mentioned.
Well, with the game is getting younger, there's more of an emphasis placed on athleticism, because you talk about run prevention and having good defenders. And you're seeing, you know, this next generation of outfielders are just exciting. I mean, they're usually placed well. They get great jumps, cover a ton of ground, and they make highlight reel plays.
It's a strike, 1-2. And Conger up here. I'll tell you, you know, you see these guys, and I was fortunate enough as a kid to see Willie Mays and Roberto Clemente. It's just great outfielders. And you don't, I mean, you know they're great. As a kid, you see them, you maybe don't appreciate how to break it down and see how great they are until, you know, you do all your reading about them, and then you get a little older and watch them then. But we're seeing the defensive play in the outfield in the major leagues now is it's on a par with some of that. There's a liner going to be over the shift. One hop to Bautista. I think Conger has a base hit.
That's the second time he's done that this year, and there's not a lot of room to drop this ball in, as you see where Ryan Goins is going to be playing right here. Jose Bautista behind him. Now you're going to fit this ball right in that little area. That's not real easy.
The Rays really like his bat, especially from the left side. Here's a base hit. 1 on, 1 out for the top of the order, Logan Foresight. Forsythe picked up his first hit of the year in the first inning. Rays leadoff hitter this year. One. Rays and the Blue Jays here tomorrow afternoon. Rays will spend the weekend in Baltimore, where it figures to be cold. Liner into center, and that ball from Pilar. Conger's round second on his way to third. Into second base goes Foresight. And the Rays will have 2 minutes scoring position with only 1 out in the third.
Well, that's the risk that you take. And Kevin Pilar, Kevin Kiermaier, they're going to try to make this play because that's how they're built. You get a sinking liner, and that ball's got a little action on it at the very end, and it's able to get underneath the glove. Let's see how close it was. Boy, right off the side of the glove. Had a chance to be able to make that play, but there was some English on that ball. Wasn't able to come up with it. And the Rays with a good threat here.
Well, it's a double for Foresight, but Pilar, like Kiermaier, thinks he ought to catch everything out there.
Well, he definitely put himself in position to catch that ball, but you just wonder how much sinking action. A hard sinker coming in, a harder one going out.
Now Logan Morrison. Great opportunity for the Rays developing here in the third. A little tapper. Sanchez down off the mound and makes the play. That's a big out for Sanchez.
Now Logan Morrison in RBI situations, he becomes very aggressive, and Aaron Sanchez was able to take advantage of that and get poor contact. Logan not happy with himself right now. He's thinking second and third, 1 out. I got to get at least 1 in. Just a good job of execution by Sanchez.
So it'll be up to Evan Longoria if the Rays are to cash in on this opportunity. Down and away. Not to belabor the point, but you know, there was a great opportunity. Morrison, you're so anxious to drive in a run, and if Sanchez has had problems, it's with left-handed hitters. When you look at the splits on him, I mean, it's significant when it comes to slugging percentage and on-base percentage, lefty righty. Just misses. It's 2-0.
Well, what he did was he went away from the norm. The norm is a hard sinker, keep the ball on the ground. You see the breakout right there. But he went with an off-speed pitch, a little wrinkle, and you got a very aggressive hitter, even more so in RBI situations, to go after it.
Two and one.
That's where a guy like Russell Martin is invaluable. Young Aaron Sanchez, you know, he's geared up, tough situation, let's go get him. You don't know definitively if it was Russell Martin's call, but he was the guy that threw the fingers down, and Sanchez said sure.
Well, that's a situation where the hitter's keyed,
yeah,
so's the pitcher, and if you put a veteran catcher there to help that pitcher, that could make the difference, and you have to think that's probably a major part of that situation right there, turning out the way it did. 2-2. There's that breaking ball again. You know, he's used that judiciously and against Morrison and now Longoria.
Last year, behind in the count, Sanchez 95% fastballs to right-handed hitters.
How about that?
That's how you get away with that. And again, it goes back to the guy putting those fingers down.
Yep. And it's not necessarily a great breaking ball, just the look and speed of the breaking ball is different. Now a full count. Fastball a little close.
Talk about late action. They're wrapping right around Evans' head. He got way too good of a look at that one.
Foresight second, Conger third. Full count, 2 outs. And he throws him a 3-2 breaking ball and strikes him out. He gets out of that spot, and the breaking ball was a big part of it. The Rays leave 2 minutes scoring position We are scoreless through 3. And look at Pilar. He comes to Sanchez, says, hey, thanks for picking me up. He really believes he should catch everything out there. And that young man, Sanchez, pitched himself out of that spot.
It also shows you how close-knit this team is, as opposed to maybe some Toronto Blue Jay teams from the past.
Yep. And that's important. Boy, is it ever important. One strike to count to Bautista.
8 months a year, all the hours, every day that you spend together, that is very important.
1-1. Yeah, we know how difficult it is to have our crew hang together as much as it does. We think we're all pretty good guys. Sometimes it gets a little difficult. How quiet it got in the truck. High foul, out of play. 1-2.
Well, again, it goes back all of those hours every single day spent together. And there are certain points of the year where it's just going to rub a little bit wrong, and you want to light somebody up. I get it. I know I get that fisheye from you every now and then.
That's not true. It's all harmony. It's a ball and 2 strikes to Bautista. Truck is still quiet, though. We'll have to make it up to him.
Where's the first trip?
Baltimore.
Okay, there's been some good meetings done in Baltimore to right the ship when it comes to the crew.
Yeah.
May have to have another one.
There's a meeting hall right around the corner from the hotel. So we'll reserve a spot. Renew the camaraderie. The fellowship. 2-2 the count to Jose Bautista. Ooh, inside just a little, and the count is full. 3-2. Encarnacion next, then Tulowitzki, the heart of the order here for Odorizzi. In a scoreless game in the 4th. Oh, he hits this ball against the defense. A long run, and Souza can't catch up. Ball bounding away. Bautista's going to round second and head for third, and he's in there standing up.
You love the aggressiveness of the Rays and the way that they try to make every play, but the decision there by Souza Jr. to leave his feet cost the Rays 90 feet. He's not going to be able to make this play, far short, but by diving, then when that ball ricochets off the wall, he's got to pick himself up and then go find it. Takes a little bit longer and allows Bautista to get all the way to third base. I think Jake Odorizzi's thinking the same thing. Why the dive that just cost us 90 feet?
Yeah, so Bautista's at third with nobody out. Bautista. A little tap by Encarnacion. Odorizzi with a throw to the plate, and it's wide. The run will score. Encarnacion's going to wind up at second. Well, a great stop by Odorizzi. And he's trying to cut down the run. And to throw on the money, had a shot at doing exactly that. But it's off balance.
Oh, man, he had a shot. He had a shot. It was just a little bit wide. He had Bautista in no man's land. Great job of getting there. Hop off the mound, but he just yanks the throw, throwing off balance. A throw that he's not used to making. A little cutter off the end of the bat.
The fielder's choice and an error charged to Odorizzi. And here's Tulowitzki. Takes the ball. One. So a run is home for Toronto with a man in scoring position and Tulowitzki the hitter. Up the middle, base hit. Encarnacion was headed back to the bag. He wasn't sure if the ball would get through with the defense deployed the way it was. So he stops at third on the base hit by Tulowitzki.
Well, that ball was absolutely smoked, and you're right, held up, not knowing exactly where the defenders were and whether it would be caught, playing it safe with nobody out, and now runners on the corner.
It's Justin Smoke.
I said it was like somebody freaking threw a grenade in the middle of us, man.
Smoke struck out his first time up tonight. Still nobody out with men at first and third. Strike one. Smoke now 2 of 9 in his career against Odorizzi with a home run. Odorizzi goes up there and gets him to chase 1 and 2. A strikeout would be great right here.
Sure would be, and that's a great pitch to set that potential up. You can go right back up there. You can go with something soft and short. A lot of options here.
Tulowitzki, keep an eye on him at first. Rays have the shift on the infield. So Miller on the first base side of second. Two and two. Michael Saunders on deck. And he got him to chase up. Went out of the strike zone up and strikes him out swinging.
Justin Smoke, you know that he will expand the strike zone with 2 strikes. And Jake Odorizzi, a little bit too far up with the fastball on the previous pitch, goes up there. That's shoulder high. You see it up there close to those eyes. You think you can get up there, get on top of it, to no avail. Now, you'd like that ground ball double play, although it'll be interesting to see how and if you can get it with the defensive setup right now by the Rays.
Saunders struck out on a fastball in his first time and lines this one foul. Breaking ball out of play. Saunders with a home run and a double in the series that came in consecutive at bats in last night's game. Did he go? Rays want the appeal. Paul Nimmel says he held up. 1-1. Let's take a look. Yep. He lays off that pitch. Up. 2-1. So Saunders not chasing. Is ahead of the count.
Yet. See if he can continue to show that good discipline, but Jake needs to make a pitch here.
And there's a strike. Hitter gets up in the count. He's got something to burn.
Oh.
And he went after that pitch up.
Yeah, I'm not going to go after those fastballs early, but now 2-1. Seeing it pretty good right now. I think you could challenge him up there again, especially if you keep it close to him.
Oh, a base hit the other way. Encarnacion scores. And Saunders, who was a big part of the game last night for the Blue Jays, gives him a run with that base hit to left.
I like the fastball call elevated. I liked it a whole lot closer to Saunders. Here they go away, and that allows him to just slap it the other way. You remember earlier in the game when he struck him out on a fastball in, he really tied him up. And he had an opportunity, I thought, to go right back in there in that situation. But by going away, you just try to get the barrel out there, and you play pepper with left field.
So 2 runs home, men at first and second, 1 out. Here's Russell Martin. Martin takes a healthy cut at the fastball up, fouling it. Hitting open on the triple by Bautista. He scored on the error and the fielder's choice. And Encarnacion wound up at second base on that play. He has just scored on the base hit by Saunders. With Tulowitzki stopping at second. 1-1 on Russell Martin. Two. Bottom fell out of that pitch. About to think about if you're a hitter, starting Martin up and then going the other end of the spectrum there to get him to chase.
He does. Jake Odorizzi forces you to cover the entire strike zone and beyond, really. He'll take the change up and the breaking ball below the zone, the fastball above the zone, and everywhere in between.
2 balls, 2 strikes. He got him. Strikes out the Toronto catcher. Pitch. The split had him over and out in front. So 2 gone. Here's your chance to get a steal, Rays fans. Tonight's steal of the night features outfield seats for any game versus Cleveland, April 12th through the 14th for just $10. Available tonight only. Visit RaysBaseball.com or call 888-FAN-RAYS for more information. Rays up. Ryan Goins, the number 9 hitter. Pitch is low. Rizzi made 27 pitches in the first inning. And a couple of efficient innings, second and third. Now he's about to make his 27th pitch of this inning. The count is 1-1.
This lineup just continues to make you work. Look at the bookends right there. 27, 27, a couple of 13s in the middle. Already at 80 pitches. This is something that Jake did a great job of last year, lowering that pitches per inning. That allowed him to get deeper into games.
2-1. Now this lineup will make you work, and Jake trying to work around the leadoff triple and the error. 2 runs have already scored. 2 men on, 2 men out, and that's a strike to take the count to 2-2. Eric Sanchez pitched his way out of a second and third 1-out spot in the bottom of the 3rd. And his team has come in to give him 2 runs in the 4th. Now before he makes his 30th pitch of the inning, Conger and Odorizzi will talk about it. Tulowitzki at second, Saunders on first. He got it. Struck him out. Fastball takes care of Goins. 2 men score. It's 2-0 Toronto.
Hey fans, anyone need some time?
Ram trucks, guts, glory, Ram. by Lazy Days RV, your RV authority. And by your local Toyota dealers. Let's go places. Rays home at Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg tonight. Blue Jays scoring 2 in the top of the 4th. One of those an earned run. And the Rays facing Aaron Sanchez, 23-year-old hard-throwing right-hander. But he used a couple of well-placed breaking balls in the bottom of the 3rd to help get himself out of a big spot. Corey Dickerson leads it off, takes a fastball away, ball 1.
Pitching beyond his years in that situation. Breaking balls winning the day when usually he gets it done with that hard sinking fastball.
1-1.
I'm telling you, if this secondary stuff continues to come along where he's not afraid to use it and he lowers that fastball usage just a little bit with the changeup and the breaking ball that we've seen tonight, this kid's scary.
Yep, he's second time through the order, and that changeup there really had Dickerson out in front. There's a high shot. This one deep to right. Well tagged. I mean, out of here. Gone. Home run for Dickerson. He hit that one just short of the scoreboard out there, and the Rays are on the board.
A tip of the helmet to Corey Dickerson for making the adjustment. Earlier in the game was tied up with the fastball in, went down looking on a fastball middle in, and he was not going to get beat in there again.
Boy, a towering blast. You see the video board with the score on it, and he came just short of that.
He'll get it. He will get it this year.
Desmond Jennings takes a strike. Second home run of the year for Dickerson. That makes it 2-1. Boy, it's nice to get one of those runs back that quickly. Tulowitzki takes this one, and Jennings is out short to first. Yeah, you're right about making the adjustment. And he hit that ball a mile.
I mean, that you know, when they talk about baseball as a game of adjustments, that's it. In play, the first at bat, that pitch ate him up 2 different times, and he said, "You know what? No more. I'm going to look for it, lay for it, be ready to lay into it." And he got it again in the same spot as the 2 previous, and he launched. And that's why, you know, this game, you've got to be able to make those adjustments and get to those tough pitches as a hitter, or those holes will get bigger and bigger and bigger, and before you know it, you'll be done.
Saunders in left toward the line, catches this one off the bat of Brad Miller. So with 2 outs and the bases empty in the 4th, let's get a little more insight on Corey Dickerson from Todd Callis. Todd?
Yeah, Dwayne, not only a new team for the Rays, but a new role as a designated hitter, an outfielder in his days with Colorado. And Corey said one thing he's trying to learn is a routine in between at-bats. He says he's not trying to overanalyze each AB, but as BA said, he did say he's trying to learn from each at-bat and carry it through to the next one. But he said it's a challenge not being on the field because he has a tendency to overthink things, but he certainly made that adjustment from first to second at-bat. He also said, guys, in preparation for his game, he learned as a young player how to get ready for each game from Troy Tulowitzki, and he appreciates what he did to him as a rookie in terms of his veteran knowledge. Guys, back to you.
Well, he's taking full advantage of whatever knowledge was imparted and applying it extremely well. 1-1 to count on Steven Souza Jr.
Those are the little behind the scenes things that you hear about that start to leak out about you know, the influence that someone has on a clubhouse or just on a particular player. You know what Tulowitzki can do on the field. I mean, we can see the numbers. There's tangible evidence, but it's the stuff behind the scenes.
Well, you know, you were talking about this Toronto ball club and how it seems to have emerged, and it's a little different team than the one it's been in terms of the clubhouse. And the Rays, the early returns on this group of Rays, you're starting to hear the same kind of thing. Corey Dickerson could make a big difference on this club, and he showed us why with one swing of the bat there to make it 2-1. At the bottom of the fourth, a one-run game moving on to the fifth now. Top of the order, Kevin Pillar stepping in against Jake Odorizzi. Pillar, Donaldson, and Bautista due up. Pitch is up, out of the zone, 1 ball, no strikes. 2-0. Pillar has singled and stolen a base tonight. He was retired in the third on a fine catch by Foresight on a popper down toward the right field line. 3-0 the count to Pillar. Four hits in that Blue Jay lineup. The Rays have 5. Three and 1. Three-1 is popped up. Morrison, fair ball just inside the first base line for the out. So one away here. Before Josh Donaldson steps in, let's check in with Emily Austin. Emily?
Well, Dwayne, I was going to report on new Rays catcher Hank Conger about how he's adjusting to this new team and learning the pitching staff by catching as many bullpens as possible during spring training. But I know BA is up there yawning and bored, so the real interesting information that I have that everyone needs to know is one day before high school practice, Hank Conger ate 72 chicken McNuggets because, quote, he was hungry. My question to you guys is, how many do you think you can eat in one sitting? BA, are you awake?
Emily, I'm here. I am here. I listen, that's part of my, hey, we come into spring training, come into the season trying to get better at things. I'm going to try to keep the energy up for 9 innings. So I'm good to go. My thing is this. I think that if you break down chicken McNuggets, I'm going to go maybe in the 12 to 15 range. I mean, I'm not touching 72. I may get 72 in a week.
Yeah, I'm not sure how you could do that in one setting.
It's impressive.
Yeah. 72, I'm not sure I've done that in a lifetime.
Yeah, that's impressive. And here's the thing that makes it even better. It's 72 before an activity.
Yeah, before practice.
If I had 70, first of all, you wouldn't get to that number. If I had 17, I'd be taking a nap for a while. Balled up on the couch.
Donaldson reaching for that pitch. Out on strikes for the 3rd time. 9 strikeouts for Jake Odorizzi.
And if I had gotten to 72, I'd be hugging that porcelain throne.
Yeah. Well, a little early to go there. Ryan Webb is up in the bullpen.
That's a lot of nuggets.
I don't know the count on Jose Bautista. Yeah, by early, I mean, it's what, only 8:40 right now.
We're not on the West Coast.
2 balls, no strikes. Bautista has walked and tripled, has scored a run. And a strike in there. Dana Evelyn has joined Ryan Webb in the bullpen. Fly ball, off a breaking ball, curveball, and Kiermaier's there to make the catch. A 1-2-3 fifth to follow that extended 4th. 2-1 Toronto. The Rays are headed into the home half of inning 5. This week only T-Mobile customers can get a free season-long subscription to MLB.TV Premium. Go to T-Mobile.com/MLB to sign up now and catch every moment on America's fastest growing LTE network. Kevin Kiermaier to begin the home half of the 5th, then Hank Conger and Logan Forsythe. Kiermaier comes out swinging at the fastball, fouling it away, strike 1. One ball, 1 strike. One. Ground ball sharply hit, but right to Goins. So Kiermaier's the first out in the 5th inning. The sinking fastball there and the hard hit ground ball.
You know, Sanchez has shown that ability. We saw earlier with Evan Longoria, a 2-1 breaking ball to get back in the count, but he can still go to that sinker. And even if you're looking for it, if he executes it, it's just so tough to get elevated and get into the air. Beat that ball right into the ground.
Hank Conger takes a big cut. Strike one. Conger lined a base hit over the shift in the 3rd. That's employed again by the Blue Jays this time. Boy, we've certainly seen the velocity, but we've seen the breaking ball and the changeup as well from the young right-hander.
Well, as those pitches continue to develop and he uses them more and more, gets them in the mix. Well, he's got a chance. I mean, like right there, you know, he really sets the tone with the opening fastball. Swing and a miss at 96 above the zone. You immediately put the hitter on edge. And you come right back with 2 nasty changeups below the zone and just didn't have a chance.
Back to back with that pitch. 2 up, 2 down. Foresight misses, swinging through the 96-mile-per-hour fastball. Logan 2 for 2 tonight. Logan led the team in hitting last year, was 2nd in home runs and runs batted in, and up in the leadoff spot for the Rays this year. Popped up, short right, Goins out, Bautista coming in. Goins makes the call, and the Rays are up and down 1-2-3. We head into the 6th, 2-1 Toronto. Taking place in the 4th inning, keyed by a leadoff triple by Jose Bautista when Steven Souza Jr. made a diving attempt at that one. It got by him, and Bautista wound up at 3rd and then scored on this error in the fielder's choice on a wide throw by Odorizzi. Encarnacion later scored on the base hit by Michael Saunders. The Rays got their run back with a leadoff home run in the bottom of the 4th from Corey Dickerson. A long blast, his 2nd home run of the year. So it's 2-1 as we go to the 6th inning. And Jake Odorizzi opens the inning facing Edwin Encarnacion. 1 ball and no strikes. So the Rays down 2-1. Odorizzi very familiar with a lack of run support. Last year it started that way and remained that way for most of the season. High pop up on the infield. This is Brad Miller making the catch to retire Encarnacion. So 1 out in the 6th. Tulowitzki, Troy Tulowitzki will be the hitter. Last year the Rays scored 2 runs or fewer in support of Jake Odorizzi 14 times, including 9 of his first 10 starts. He's down 2-1 tonight in the 6th. The pitch to Tulowitzki is a strike. Tulowitzki picked up his base hit in the 4th. Single into center field. Oh, 1-1. See Odorizzi reaching 100 pitches here with the 2 pitches he's made to the Toronto shortstop. One and 2 now. Dana Eveland still up in the Rays bullpen. Justin Smoke is due next. Smoke a switch hitter. And better from the left side. 1-2. 2-2.
It's a little bit of a delay right there as Jake Odorizzi and Hank Conger trying to get on the same page what they wanted to go with there with 2 strikes. I think tonight we've seen from Jake he's been really good with the elevated fastball, the fastball away to the right-handers, and his mix has been better.
That's a foul ball just outside the bag. Count holds at 2-2.
This is a very tough lineup to face, and Jake Odorizzi tested coming right out of spring training with that idea of throwing the cutter more, working in the curveball more. In his own words, becoming a more complete pitcher. And I think we've seen evidence of that here tonight.
The foul ball, the count holds at 2-2.
And you can see right there on Fox Tracks when it pops back up. I mean, he's been going with the soft stuff down and in, trying to get the chase over the top and working everything else hard away, whether it be the fastball or the cutter. Just continuing to work both sides of the plate up and down. That's his game. I mean, look at that. There's a lot there to think about if you're Troy Tulowitzki. You've got to cover all of that.
And a cut and a miss. They get him on strikes on the split. So the 10th strikeout of the night for Jake Odorizzi. 2 up and 2 down here in the 6th.
Turns out that it's a breaking ball right there, down and away. Starts it at the kneecaps, just constantly moving the ball around, changing speeds, changing eye levels, changing sides of the plate.
And now Smoke. Strike 1 to Smoke. Foul right back. So Smoke twice has struck out swinging. Odorizzi ahead of him 0-2. Ball, 2 strikes. The Rays have the top side of the order due up in the bottom of the 6th. Odorizzi now with 108 pitches trying to get Smoke to get through the 6th and give his team a chance to score him a couple runs maybe in the bottom of the inning. 2-2. While Michael Saunders, a left-handed hitter, is on deck. Evelyn stays ready in the bullpen. See Morrison, Longoria, and Dickerson due up in the bottom of the 6th. And that's a bit close. Tried to get him in, and the count is full.
And borderline pitch on 2-2, right at the top of the strike zone, right on the corner, maybe just a little bit off.
And he's in again. So he walks Smoke. And that's going to be it. Kevin Cash out to make a pitching change. With the pitch count up at 111. We'll be back in a moment. It's a good job of holding Toronto to only 1 earned run, 2 runs total.
Yep, no doubt about it. You know, he said coming into this start he wanted to become a more complete pitcher coming out of spring training. It's something that he focused on, and we saw it once again. We saw him moving the ball around the zone, up, down, changing eye levels, changing speeds. He did work in the cutter more breaking balls to go along with the very good changeup, and it was a battle for him, but he really handled himself nicely, and he had to work, no question about it, but he leaves with just giving up that 1 earned run, 2 outs into the 6th.
Michael Saunders is the hitter to face Dana Evelyn. Runner at first, 2 outs. This pitch is a strike to Saunders, who singled in a run in the 4th inning. Strike 2, 0-2. Evelyn pitched an inning and 2/3 in the game on Sunday. He faced Saunders in that one and got him on a fly ball to center. Ball, 2 strikes. Martin on deck. Right now, Saunders' RBI single in the 4th is the difference in this game. Got the base hit that drove in Encarnacion. Single the other way into left. Foul ball. He just got a little piece of it. So he's still alive, close to the strikeout to end the inning there, but just a foul ball.
It's like that uncontested jump shot that rattles around and just pops out. It's right there. It's halfway down. No good.
The foul ball will generate another pitch with a 1-2 count.
I'll tell you, Danny Evelyn, an intriguing option for Kevin Cash coming out of that pen. The amount of sink he's able to get on the fastball, and then you can see how he sweeps the breaking ball. And he really gets that thing to move side to side and cover a lot of ground. Well traveled, a lot of experience.
Oh, now move to first. Oh, and the ball hits Smoke, and he's safe at second base. Well, they had him, and the ball hit him on the throw down to second.
It'll be interesting to see how much room Logan Morrison gave himself on the throw. He's already at an advantage because he's left-handed. He's throwing from inside the baseline. Here's the pickoff move on first movement. He just did not create a whole lot of an angle there and ends up hitting Smoke right in the back of the helmet. Usually you try to clear yourself and get inside that line. And Logan Morrison got rid of that ball in a hurry, but it clipped Smoke right in the helmet, and he gets in safely.
So it's now a 2-2 count with Smoke at second base. Ground ball down to Morrison, and he races to the bag. Safe, it's the call, and we'll see about that. Over to third goes Smoke, and Morrison found himself in a foot race, and Kevin Cash out of the Rays dugout says, wait a minute.
Yep. And listen, Michael Saunders can move, but Logan Morrison, let's take a look. Ooh, yeah, I think that foot got there just in the nick of time. This will certainly be challenged. It's close, but that toe right, yeah, right there. Yep, pushing that bag up. The foot from Saunders, not quite to the bag. This one should be overturned.
So they'll take a look at it as the Rays challenge this one. Mike Everett, Laz Diaz with the headsets on. We should be out of this inning, one would imagine. Call safe at first. And it is out, overturned. So they'll take care of Toronto in the top of the sixth inning. They leave a man. It's 2-1 Toronto. brought on the challenge. The Rays prevailed in that one. Morrison will lead off the bottom of the 6th. Then Longoria and Dickerson. With the Rays down by a run, facing Aaron Sanchez tonight. Morrison looking for his first hit tonight, 0 for 2. Strike one. Sanchez got him a big out back in the 3rd with men at 2nd and 3rd. A little breaking ball and a comebacker to the hill. The runners had to remain at 2nd and 3rd. Then Sanchez proceeded to strike out Evan Longoria to get out of that spot. Rays got their run in the 4th on the Dickerson home run. That's been about it. Two balls and a strike. Houston beat the Yankees today 5-3 in a game that involved a controversial play when Houston took the lead. Altuve apparently running outside the runner's lane. There was no call, and a run scored on that. Morrison fouls it out of play. Houston 5 and the New York Yankees 3. Boston beat Cleveland in Cleveland 6-2. The Mets beat Kansas City 2-0. Check swing, foul ball. Morrison looking for his first hit. He's 0 for 8 so far in this series.
Well, this is the Rays lineup, the 3rd time through against Sanchez, and that's where the challenge of a starting pitcher starts to really rear its ugly head. You're going through a lineup 3 times, 4 times, new sequences. A good one there.
Ooh, strike 3 call. It's the first out.
I'll tell you, both of these starting pitchers here tonight, between Jake Odorizzi and Aaron Sanchez, have done a really nice job of just working the ball around the zone. That makes for uncomfortable at bats.
Well, a day game tomorrow. Jay Happ against Matt Moore. A couple of lefties go at it. And we'll be with you at 12:30 to wrap up this 4-game series and a 4-game homestand. Strike 1 on Evan Longoria.
Boy, look at how efficient Sanchez has been with the pitch count. They're
Yep.
just 71 right now into the 6th.
Oh, look out. Boy, that would sail right up by the helmet. It's a little scary right there.
Now, he had one in the previous at bat that was close. This one closer, trying to go down and away, and that's right over the helmet. Boy, a near miss. Well, that's scary.
Now he throws a breaking ball and he misses with it. 2-1. Ball chopped to Tulowitzki. 2 outs in the 6th. Yellowwood bringing the lumber courtesy of Corey Dickerson when he tied into a fastball in the 4th inning. A mile right at the base of the big screen out there.
Well, so how does Aaron Sanchez approach Corey Dickerson in this at-bat? Struck him out with the fastballs in at bat number 1. Tries to come back there in the 2nd at-bat. We saw what just happened. Now, how do you go after each other?
Well, he's Throws that first pitch into the dirt.
Change your eye level.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I'm looking for that 42-foot pitch.
Pretty good pitch if you're playing cricket right there. A 1-0 count. And back with the fastball. It's 1-1. A run, 5 hits for the Rays, 2 runs, 4 hits for the Blue Jays. And it's 1-2 curveball.
Staying away from him. Still mixing those pitches well. The fastball, the curveball right on top of it. This is the cat and mouse game at its best.
Dickerson stays alive with the off speed, fouling it.
Well, so he went fastball away, backdoor curveball, change up down and away. You've slowed him up with the last 2 pitches. Maybe this is where you let that, whatever you've got left, 95, 96, let it rip away, maybe a little bit of elevation to it. Right back to the hook, and he wants it down.
It's hit on the ground to first. Smoke steps it up, steps on the bag. 1, 2, 3, go the Rays. We go to the 7th, 2-1 Toronto. Sun is brought to you by Ram Trucks. Guts, Glory, Ram. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by your Southern Chevy dealers. We're at the Trop tonight. Game 3 of a 4-game series between the Rays and the Blue Jays. Blue Jays have taken the first 2 games and they lead 2-1. In game 3, moving into the 7th, with Dana Evelyn about to face the catcher Russell Martin. Martin 0 for 2 tonight at the plate, but has been very good behind the plate, handling the young right-hander Aaron Sanchez. That's a pitch down around his feet. Moves him a bit. 1 ball, no strikes. Him move a little bit. That was the other end of the spectrum. Now strike, 1-1. Odorizzi for 5 2/3. Evelyn got the final out in the 6th. Now begins the 7th. Started that one wide, and it stayed out there just a little bit off the plate. Martin and then Goins, and beyond that, Pilar. Steve Geltz is up in the bullpen for the Rays. Fly ball, left center field. Kiermaier still on the move, and that ball in between Kiermaier and Jennings, and it's Jennings who comes up with that one. How about that out there? Or Kiermaier racing toward Jennings. Jennings behind him. Kiermaier with that little jump did not get it, and right back there was Jennings, and he made the catch. Here's another look.
Well, you can see there too, Desmond Jennings peeked over at Kevin Kiermaier thinking that he was going to take it. They're both looking for it, see where it's at, calling for it. Well, he pulled off nicely right there at the end, and Desmond Jennings very nonchalant. The little basket catch. Kevin Kiermaier bouncing around like always.
Yeah, Jennings gave it that over-the-shoulder wide receiver reception on that, and a lot of action provided by Kiermaier as he tried to hold up and then took a tumble. Want to know the count to Goins. Ground ball. Miller made contact, now hustles after it to keep Goins at first. That's a base hit. Miller shaded toward the bag at second, and as he tried to get over there, deflected that ball into left. So a base hit. Goins aboard, his first hit of the night. Kevin Pillar is the hitter.
Man, you got to be careful with that right side of the infield with Evelyn's sinker and Pillar's willingness to hit the ball the other way. He's got room to work with over there.
Ball, no strikes.
You see Logan Morrison holding the runner on, and Logan Forsythe right here shading up the middle just a hair. A lot of open space, and we've seen him go the other way throughout this series.
Hot shot, base hit through the hole. Jennings up with this one, so Goins stops at second. Pillar hit the ball sharply, picking up his second hit. Now 2 on with 1 out. Josh Donaldson due up. We're going to see a new pitcher for the Rays. Back in a moment. By Ram Trucks, Guts Glory Ram by Kubota. For more information, go to FloridaKubotaDealers.com and by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. Dana Evelyn out of the game, leaving 2 men aboard. with Josh Donaldson due up, and Steve Geltz will get the call.
Last night in just 10 pitches, Steve Geltz, a perfect inning with a strikeout. Looked lively. Arm looked lively. The fastball once again jumping out of the hand. You know how valuable he was for this team last year. And they need him to come up big right now.
Yeah, he was a big part of the pitching staff, primarily out of the bullpen. And he did carry a big workload. On to face Josh Donaldson, who's happy to face anybody except Odorizzi, who struck him out 3 times tonight. Pitch outside, 1 ball, no strikes. So a tough spot to face some tough hitters here for Geltz, trying to keep this a 1-run ball game. Picks up a strike. 1-1. Goins on second, Pilar at first, Bautista on deck. One ball, 2 strikes. Odorizzi for 5 2/3. Evelyn for 2/3. He got Saunders, a left-handed hitter, to end the 6th. Then he got Martin on that great catch that Jennings made behind Kiermaier in left center field to open the 7th. Goins, a left-handed hitter, got the base hit. And Pilar, who's been about, when you look at his splits, they're even, lefty, righty. And actually his slugging percentage a little better against right-handed pitching. So Evelyn faced in, gave up the base hit, and now this one popped up, and they get Donaldson. So Geltz gets a big out there on the infield pop, handled by Longoria.
Well, that ball just jumping out of his hand. He was able to create a ton of backspin with that fastball, very heavy with that 4-seamer, and it just jumps on these hitters. And Josh Donaldson, just a hair tardy, leads to the pop-up. The Rays now 1 out away from getting out of this mess.
The hitter is Jose Bautista. On the top of the 7th. Bautista has 1 hit off Geltz, and as you just saw there was a home run. 3 strikeouts. And there's a strike to start him with a slider. Oh, he just missed. Fastball. Very close, and it's 1-1. With that one. Now 2-1. Big cut. He missed the slider. 2-2.
That's how he started him. Comes back with another good one right there. Behind in the count, he keeps it down, out over the plate, so it's enticing. But the break takes it out of the zone, and now back to even, and now you can go any number of ways.
Well, he misses, and the count will go full. Missed with a fastball. So it's 3-2, and with 2 outs, the runners will be off. Runners go. Pitch is down and in for ball 4. So the bases are loaded. 2 outs, bases loaded for Edwin Encarnacion.
Boy, I mean, this is your ball game right here. You record the out, you go right back to work, down just a run. But a very, very dangerous spot. Steve Geltz is going to have to come up with some pitches here.
Encarnacion 0 for 3, reached on a fielder's choice and scored a run in the 4th. Upstairs. In fact, that run he scored in the 4th is the difference in this 2-1 ball game, as it now stands in the 7th. High fly ball to center. Kiermaier puts it away. Jays lead the bases loaded. 7th inning stretch time. 2-1 Toronto. Sanchez has given the Blue Jays 6 innings. Corey Dickerson accounting for the only run for the Rays. By various estimates in-house, they're saying it went 433. Other sources have it as long as 453, which would be his career longest. And here we go with Desmond Jennings leading off the bottom of the 7th inning. Brad Miller to follow, and then Steven Souza Jr. against Sanchez. Pitch hit on the ground. It's Tulowitzki who floats the throw to first right on the money. Quick release and the float accurate.
That is part of his game. You know, he says that, you know, he makes that throw, throws on the run more often than most shortstops. It's because he says it saves wear and tear on his body. That one right there, he's obviously moving in the hole. He's going to have to do that anyway. And he said he was challenged when he was at Long Beach State playing shortstop. He was challenged by their coach that he wanted them around every ground ball, no backhands. So you had to improve your footwork, quick feet. Why he's able to cover so much ground. He gets around those balls, and he is so adept at the throw on the run and so accurate.
Miller down 0-2. Both bullpens are busy right now. Alex Colomé is up in the Rays pen down the right field line. They've got Odorizzi, Evelyn, and Geltz in the game. And that's Brett Cecil, lefty, up down the left field side, and the bullpen for Toronto. It's been an efficient evening for Sanchez. He's just over 80 pitches, pitching to his second man here in the 7th. 1-2. Bounder foul. Souza Jr. on deck. Inside. 2-2. Strike 3 call. Miller caught looking on a fastball. 2 outs in the 7th.
He missed with the previous one, comes right back to it. Keeps it down, keeps it right on the corner. That late sinking action takes it back to the inside corner, and he gets the call.
7 strikeouts. Boy, he just did pick up the corner. 7 strikeouts for Sanchez. Souza Jr. 0 for 2 tonight. Line to left his first time up. Two strikes. Ball pitch in on him. Well, by traditional standards, Sanchez has maybe the perfect pitcher's build. 6'4". They've worked on this. A lot of organizations do with young pitchers to simplify that approach to get that top to bottom delivery.
When he came into camp 15-20 pounds heavier, you know, the thought process for Aaron Sanchez was, I want to be a starting pitcher. I mean, I pitched out of the bullpen last year, that's fine. I want to be a starter this year. So in order to be able to do that over a 6-month span and hopefully beyond, in his mind, I need to come in a little stronger and bulk up a little bit.
And strike 3 is called on the fastball. That was in at 96. On to the 8th, 2-1 Toronto. MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, delivers everything you've come to expect and more. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. Includes a free subscription to At Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. Odorizzi and Sanchez, the starting pitchers in this one. Sanchez has gone 7 innings, just a little over 90 pitches, 8 strikeouts. Odorizzi made 111 pitches in 5 2/3. Danny Evelyn for 2/3, Geltz for 2/3, and now it's Alex Colomé into this game for the Rays.
Well, on every out important. You're still down just a run. You got a couple more shots at it, but you need to continue to put up zeros.
No ball, no strikes to Troy Tulowitzki leading off. He is 1 for 3. His hit came in the 4th inning. One. Well, you talk about the little things in games, and right now the difference, a couple of little decisions made by the Rays defenders, and Souza diving for that ball, and that allowed Batista to get to third the time Souza Jr. recovered out there. And then the errant throw, the off-balance throw by Odorizzi, and right now that's the difference.
I mean, we talked about it in game 1, in opening day, that slim margin. You know, you just don't have a lot of margin for error in the AL East this year, especially when you're playing within the division.
Cutting the miss. Fastball, and Tulowitzki is out on strikes. Let's check in with Todd again. Todd Callis, what's up?
Dwayne, as you know, because you've looked at the schedule, tomorrow's a day game. So you guys have to go home and get your rest, because not only is it a day game to wrap up the series, but it's our first edition of Web Wednesday of the 2016 season. That's right. Fans can have their comments or questions answered by the guys upstairs. Just go on Twitter with the hashtag AskRays, or email your questions to sunsportsrays@gmail.com. Guys, are you ready for the first Web Wednesday of the year tomorrow?
I guess we're ready, whether we're ready or not. There's a line drive base hit off the bat of Justin Smoak on the fastball, and a line single, 1 on, 1 out.
Number 21, left fielder.
Well, here's the thing. Let's start off strong. You know, usually there's a lull in the middle of the year where you kind of have to exhort people, hey, come on, let's bring it. Day game tomorrow, rolling right out of bed, got a lot on your mind, a lot of thoughts early in the season, and this is how you can reach us.
You got multiple avenues.
Yeah, you've got a lot of different ways. You're on Twitter, great, do it that way. Email, everybody's got a smartphone.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
Look forward to it. We're going to plenty of rest tonight. Fresh tomorrow.
Stay baseball, which is great.
Can't wait.
Oh, first one of the year. Giddy.
Strike the count on Michael Saunders. 1 on, 1 out. 1-2. Two 7-0 for the Blue Jays. 1-5-1 for the Rays. It's 1-2. center. Jennings. 2 outs with a runner aboard. This week only. T-Mobile customers can get a free season-long subscription to MLB.TV Premium. Go to T-Mobile.com/MLB to sign up now and catch every moment on America's fastest-growing LTE network. Alex Colomé to face Russell Martin. Pitch is a strike. Blocked by Conger. Quickly recovers.
Good hustle, good pop coming out from behind the plate. A 1-run game. You do not want to allow the Blue Jays a runner into scoring position if you can help it. That ball thrown hard into the dirt, bounds away, but look at Hank Conger quickly up and out of the crouch. Track that ball down and keep smoking first.
Tap foul, advances the count to 1-2. Odorizzi started. Evelyn Geltz and now Colomé. Ground ball short. Out at second. That'll take care of Toronto. We're headed into the bottom of the 8th. 2-1. We go to the home half of the 8th in this 2-1 game, and here's what's coming up tomorrow on Rays Live. Pre-game show presented by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. The rest is we'll break down the Rays' new offensive additions. We'll hear from Matt Moore. He'll be making the start for the Rays after a very good spring. All of that leading up to the first pitch. Brett Cecil is the new pitcher. 7 innings for Sanchez and 91 pitches. Kevin Kiermaier leads off and takes a cut and misses. Brandon Guyer has come out on deck. Cecil worked 1 inning last night, had 2 strikeouts. Kiermaier checked on the pitch down. Down the left field line. That ball is a foul ball and out of the reach of Saunders beyond the bullpen mound.
Well, you almost get the feeling that Michael Saunders was just trying to run that ball foul. Forget about catching it. Just make sure I get to the left field line and that ball's still away from me.
There's Guyer on deck.
Brett Cecil, tough against everybody, and he's on some kind of run right now, even going back to last year. How good he's been out of that Blue Jay bullpen.
Oh, Kiermaier hit by that pitch. He had some protection on that elbow. And so the Rays get a base runner.
Man, it looked like a breaking ball that just got away from Cecil, and Kiermaier just kind of leaves that. Yeah, it is a curveball. He just kind of leaves that elbow out there. Go ahead, take that. Was a true take one for the team, right off of the protected pad. Get some speed down to first base in a 1-run game.
And so here's Guyer. Guyer to hit for Conger. Pitch up, 1 ball, no strikes. Kiermaier back hit at first. Chavez busy in the bullpen for the Blue Jays. Erasmo Ramirez up in the Rays bullpen. Cecil keeping an eye on Kiermaier. Cecil has not allowed an earned run over his last 32 2/3 innings. That's a span of 38 outings. Is upstairs, and that's the long and short of it that you referenced. The stretch he has going.
I think that goes back to like June of last year. But in the early going here in this inning, not very sharp after hitting Kiermaier, falling behind Guyer.
Guyer fouls that one back. Fastball. It's 2-1. Kiermaier hit by a pitch. Guyer led the American League last year. He was hit by a pitch 24 times. Kiermaier already on his way back to the bag with that move.
3 stolen bases last year given up by Brett Cecil. 3 out of 4 on the season.
Guyer swings and hits a fly ball to left. Saunders not yet to the track, makes the catch. Kiermaier tags, but he'll hang on at first.
Now, when an outfielder back on the warning track can keep Kevin Kiermaier from attempting to move up, number one, he's aware that Kiermaier's going to look to go, and he's going to have a pretty strong arm. How many times we've seen that, a deep fly ball and an aggressive tag up. Kiermaier would be the guy to do it, but that would have been a tough ask.
Logan Foresight, who is 1 for 3 in his career off Brett Cecil, and 2 for 3 tonight in this game. It's covered up by Martin. Leadoff man on. Kiermaier at first with 1 out. Strike, 1-1. Two and 1. Chavez has been joined by Franklin Morales, big left-hander in the Toronto bullpen, so they have a righty and a lefty. Sky deep to right. Bautista back. That baby's gone. Home run. Logan Foresight, and the Rays take a 3-2 lead. Forsythe's third hit of the night, and boy, is it a big one, a 2-run blast to give the Rays a 3-2 lead.
We've seen Logan Foresight take balls out to right field. That's because he is so short and quick to the baseball. A lot of bat speed, not a lot of wasted movement. And Brett Cecil, who has not been sharp in this outing, hung out a breaking ball, and Logan Foresight popped that thing out to right field.
Big news. He's given up 2 earned runs here in a third of an inning. And the Rays take the lead. That's going to be it for Cecil. John Gibbons comes out to make the pitching change and smiles in that Rays dugout. Dickerson homered back in the 4th to get him on the board, and Forsythe has given the Rays the lead with this blast, taking it out to right center field. Rays up by a run, pitching change coming. Tonight to give the Rays a 3-2 lead. Steve Pearce had been announced Jose Chavez into the game, and so the matchup, the right-hander Chavez against Pierce in the first pitch is a strike. Chavez pitched an inning last night. Ball. The count is 0-2.
Well, the Rays were able to hang around. You had one of the toughest relievers on a tremendous streak. Obviously, most of that done last year, but still looked pretty good last night for the Blue Jays. But you could see he was just not sharp tonight. It started with the hanging breaking ball that hit Kiermaier in the back of the arm, and culminated with the opposite field home run off the curveball by Logan Foresight.
Pierce into right field. Bautista on the run, can't get there. Pierce makes the turn at first and will hang on there with a single. And the Rays hoping to add maybe a little cushion to this lead. Pinch hit single for Pierce.
Now down in the count, and ball's cutting. This ball's off the plate away, but Steve Pierce, you saw follow those eyes. They stay right on that baseball, and he just serves it out into right field. A tremendous job.
Well, if you're looking for a great hitting video, just watch that. There's Evan Longoria now. He swings and misses.
Looking to expand the lead.
Yes, he was. Evan looking for his first hit of the night. Two. Swing and a miss, snapped on at first. Back in with that right hand safely. Pierce ahead of the throw. Longoria out on strikes for the second out. Corey Dickerson is due. And we're going to get another pitching change. Blue Jays want the lefty. A home run by Logan Foresight. 2 outs with a runner at first. The Republic Bank Draft Room, exclusively for Rays season ticket holders, lends hospitality and comfort, offering local craft beers and themed signature food items. Tropicana Field's newest destination area, exclusively for Rays season ticket holders, is the Republic Bank Draft Room. Call 888-FAN-RAYS for information. Franklin Morales on to face Corey Dickerson.
67 games last year for Franklin. A late pickup coming out of spring training, actually between spring training and the beginning of the season, to get another lefty out of the bullpen. Held left-handed hitters to a 196 average a year ago.
Dickerson bounces this one foul. Dickerson got the Rays on the board back in the fourth, turning around this fastball. But that was hitting it to the base of the big screen out there.
And the big story of that home run, it started the at-bat before where he was beat on a similar pitch, actually 2 in a row, but made a great adjustment.
And this one hit hard, but down to Smoke, who makes the catch to retire the Rays. Hit batter Kiermaier to lead off the inning. And 1 out later, Logan Foresight lowers the boom on Brett Cecil. And it gives the Rays a 3-2 lead as this game heads into the 9th inning. Rays move into the 9th inning on the strength of a 2-run home run by Logan Forsythe, holding a 3-2 lead. Rays have had 2 home runs tonight, one by Corey Dickerson and the other one by Forsythe. And Alex Colomé on the hill to face Ryan Goins, leading off the 9th. The pitch is a ball. Colomé worked the 8th inning. Picked up a strikeout, gave up a hit. And now he has Goins to lead off with Pilar on deck. 1-1 on the foul ball. Goins had a base hit in the 7th. He's fouled out and struck out tonight. Throws him a strike and is ahead 1-2. Goins and Colomé facing each other for the first time. Tapped by the mound, charged by Forsythe, and he cannot glove it in time. Boy, that was trouble right off the bat once it got by Colomé, and a tough chance for Colomé to get there. Forsythe trying to come in to get it.
That was going to be a bang-bang play, and Forsythe, obviously he has to glove that ball, throw on the run, quickly, short, and accurately. But Ryan Goins just pops this ball into the ground. Pretty good speed getting down the line. And just not able to come up with it clean.
An infield hit for Goins. Kevin Pillar is the hitter. Fastball misses. Pillar singled in the first. He singled in the seventh. They're now 4 for 13 for the series. Fly ball, center field. Kiermaier's there to catch it. One gone. One on, one out. Coming up on Rays Live, the postgame presented by Checkers. Todd, Doug, and Orestes anchoring the coverage. Kevin Cash, his press conference will be part of that. Emily Austin will have interviews from the Rays clubhouse. All of that on Rays Live, the postgame. Josh Donaldson. Pitch outside. 1-0. Broken bat and a base hit into center field. Down to second goes Goins. Barreled into that bat, wound up down by Evan Longoria at third base.
Well, that bat just blew up. Ryan Goins didn't have a very good read on that ball. This ball right off the end of the bat. Everybody trying to find out where it went. You're following pieces of the bat. You're following the baseball. Clearly a hit. You see Goins kind of get held up there at first base, only able to get to second. And keep that force out in order, but you've got a tough part of the lineup to deal with.
Well, here is Jose Bautista, who scored the first run of the game after leading off the fourth with a triple. He has walked twice, officially 1 for 2. When Odorizzi got him on a fly ball to center back in the fifth. Now it's Colomé throwing him a first pitch strike.
We'll just put a little cut to it.
Two on, one out, top of the ninth. 1-run ball game. Blocked by Casale. Kurt Casale with the catching now, with Conger lifted for the pinch hitter in the bottom of the eighth. Rays have Pierce at first and Conger behind the plate. 1-1 the count on Bautista.
Another little cut fastball there. That one kind of backed up, stayed up and in. Kind of ties him up with the swing, gets over the bat. Now he's 1 strike away from putting him away.
That's a little backup that is effective. You're never quite sure when you're ever going to throw it. Try not to. Oh, down he goes. Hits the deck.
Well, that was a real backup.
Yes.
Same pitch. He really tried to yank on it, and that ball just shot out. And how did that miss Jose Bautista?
2-2 the count. Big cut by Bautista as he fouls that one back. Bautista letting it out with that swing.
Yeah. He does not get cheated. 2 strikes doesn't matter. He's got 1 gear.
Again on the fastball. So it's the battle here between Colomé and Bautista. Colomé worked the 8th inning, made 13 pitches. 14 pitches here in the 9th. Rays felt there may be moments when they'd ask him to pitch the 8th and then the 9th. Well, here it is, folks. Count is full without Boxberger. The Rays being creative with their bullpen. The infield hit started it. Goins reaching. Pilar retired. And the broken bat base hit by Donaldson. Now a full count to Jose Bautista. And that's foul. Back and out of play. And an 8-pitch at bat so far. Colomé and Bautista. A little high for ball 4, and the bases are loaded.
Discipline. That was a borderline pitch. We've seen Jose Bautista go after very close pitches like that, and how he's able to lay off here. Another cutter that kind of stays up in middle. He reads it just a little bit too high, and he takes a walk. That was a tremendous at bat by the Blue Jay right fielder.
So Jim Hickey out there with Colomé. And Edwin Encarnacion will be the hitter for Toronto. So any way you look at it, it's not going to be easy. Encarnacion scored after reaching on the fielder's choice in the 4th. Officially 0 for 4 tonight. He swings and misses. Strike 1.
And that was good execution on that cutter. We've seen a number of them to Bautista, kind of backed up. They stayed up. He got on top of that one, drove it down and away, got the swing and a miss, and the early jump in the count.
Strike 2. Cutter followed by the fastball.
Well, you've put yourself in position, and you need that strikeout here.
Close, moved him back, turning away. ball, 2 strikes. Yeah.
John Gibbons.
Gibbons trying to maybe get a run out of that.
Yeah.
And Cardinal says, "Oh no, it didn't hit me."
And how about that? He wants to hit. Told his manager, "Go ahead and head back in there. I'm gonna hit it. Did not touch me."
The 1-2. Ground ball, third. Out at second and safe at first. The throw skips by Pierce. And not only the tying run scores, but a go-ahead run will score. Braves trying to turn the double play. And the Blue Jays take a 4-3 lead.
Well, that was going to be a tough play for a couple of reasons. First of all, down to third base, you've got a lot of ground to cover. And, well, right here, coming in hard, Bautista.
He grabbed him with that left hand.
Yeah, we'll see. This may absolutely.
And we're going to have this looked at.
Yeah, this will be the slide rule coming into play right now.
Bautista grabbed him with his left hand. Braves trying to get the double play to end this thing, and Kevin Cash out there asking them to look at it. Now watch his left hand.
But this is going to be real interesting how they rule this.
He grabbed his right foot as Foresight tried to complete the double play. So it's under review.
And of course, Bautista and anybody on the Blue Jays would claim, well, he was just sliding by, his arm was out there. I mean, how they'll spin that. We'll see if they can figure out intent. Hey, he's trying to do everything he can to make sure that Foresight cannot complete that play.
That's right. I'll tell you, this is a real test of this review process here.
I agree.
And is it going to be worth the process of what they're doing or not? This is a test. We'll see. He's out, and that's going to do it. Rays win it. John Gibbons not going to like it. But Bautista grabbed his foot. And the Rays are going to win this game. It ends on a double play. The Rays are winners tonight, 3-2. It's pretty clear on the replay. How about that? Got to give them credit for doing the right thing.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what the fallout is of this, because it ends the game. It just effectively ended the game. John Gibbons, and you understand that, he is livid. But it's over.
Well, if you're ever going to call that, you have to call it there, or you'll never call it.
And you've served notice. You have served notice to the rest of the league. If you do that, it's going to get called. The slide is right into the bag, but the left hand reaches out and clips that back foot. Logan Foresight then yanks the throw.
Here are the totals for tonight's game. For the Blue Jays, 2 runs, 9 hits, no errors. For the Rays, 3 runs, 7 hits.
So for the Rays, a 3-2 victory. 3-7-1 for the Rays. 2-9-0 for the Blue Jays. Colomé the winner, Cecil the loser. Todd Callis standing by with Logan Forsythe right now.
Dwayne, thanks. Logan, what a way to end the game. You knew there was going to be some changes. That hasn't changed. The Gatorade or water shower hasn't changed, Logan, but you knew there was going to be some changes with the rules, especially with plays at second base. Your thoughts when the play initially happened? Did you feel Batista? Did you think when you saw the replay that it might, because of the new rules, get changed?
Yeah, I thought it was more in the slide. I didn't know he reached his hand out from the replay that we saw up top, but you know, I guess that's the new rule. You can't have any obstruction with the fielder. You know, I haven't even really taken a closer look at it, but I'm sure we'll go over it in there.
Let's take a closer look at it right now while we have you. The monitor's still working despite the Gatorade and water shower. Here's another look.
Yeah, see, I thought he got me with his back foot. I thought he came through the bag.
And then that left hand.
And left hand, yeah.
Did it throw you off with the hand hitting your back foot?
Yeah, it took my throw a little to the left, but I don't know. I'll look more into the rule.
Yeah, and it is a change, right, for you guys? Obviously, that rule, it's a change for the runners, but it's also a change for you with the neighborhood play now reviewable. You've really got to hang in there.
Absolutely. You know, they got the slide rule in effect, but now the neighborhood play that's actually reviewable. We've talked about it a lot in spring, and I've talked to even other guys on other teams about it. You know, how we like it, if we do or not. We said we're going to play it out in season, see how it goes, but yeah, it keeps us a little bit more vulnerable because we have to stay on the bag, and it just makes us stay around the bag a little bit longer.
They have replays available here with the scoreboard, the Rays Vision. When you were watching it, what was the discussion on the infield when they were reviewing? Did you guys think you might be game over at that point?
We thought about it because I mean I don't think you can throw your hands out. I think you have to be an arm's length of the bag, but I don't think you can actually go after a player. I think that falls into that realm.
Logan, big home run, obviously. You guys were struggling for hits. Sanchez was really tough, wasn't he, for them as a starter?
Yeah, I mean, they're starters. I mean, they've been really good. They've been consistent. They've been around the zone, and I mean, they've been kind of mid-season form, you know, from the start. But you know, it was just nice to kind of get some balls out there today. You know, all around we played well. Corey hit a big home run too for us, and you know, it's nice to get that first W.
And then Cecil, I'm not sure if you knew this, had a chance for a major league record if he got 39 straight scoreless, unearned appearances, and you got him on a home run to right. Tell us about what you were looking for as we look at him.
You know, Cecil, he's a great pitcher. I mean, especially lefty-lefty matchup. You know, for him, I mean, his curveball is a really good pitch. Honestly, I was just looking back up the middle with him, just going to try to keep the inning going. And, you know, I saw the curveball. I just tried to get the barrel to it and, you know, got through it pretty well.
You were involved in so many big plays late, the 2-run home run, the play at the end of the game, and then to start the ninth, you had a do-or-die play. Were you thinking about shoveling with the glove there on that, with Goins going down the line?
Yeah, I mean, Goins can get down the line, especially coming out of left-hander batter's box. And it was kind of that in-between hop, so it's a tough one to try to either think with two hands and try to flip it over quick, but at the same time, you know, you don't want to force it over there because you're so close to the bag. So, yeah, I mean, it was just a tough play. It was going to be bang-bang either way, but I'm glad we got out of it.
Congratulations. A crazy way to finish. Thanks for the time, Logan.
Thanks, DK.
All right, guys, back to you.
All right, Todd, thank you. So on the review, the Rays awarded an interference call against the Toronto Blue Jays to complete that double play. And here's the breakout on the rule.
Well, I think you go right to the top. If a runner does not engage in a bona fide slide, and I actually thought the slide was good by Jose Bautista, sliding directly into the bag, but then it continues and initiates or attempts to make contact with the fielder for the purpose of breaking up a double play. And I think that's where he got in trouble, because that left hand clearly reached out, clipped the back foot of Logan Forsythe, caused a bad throw. And so I think right there, you look into that rule and you say, you watch the slide as he's heading in. He's heading directly into the bag. Nothing wrong with this. The left hand, something wrong with that. And even that left knee was kind of flaring out there. You know, these guys are so used to breaking up a double play any way they can, especially in this situation. Jose Bautista took it a little too far.
Yeah, the new rule notwithstanding, common sense prevailing there on that left hand reaching out. A lot more coming up on the postgame about all of this. Rays are winners 3-2. They pick up their first victory of the year with Colomé picking up the victory. Cecil, the losing pitcher. We'll be with you tomorrow for the wrap-up game of the series on Fox Sports Sun. Our coverage begins at 12:30. For Brian Anderson and the rest of our crew, Dwayne Stats. Hope you've enjoyed the telecast. More coverage coming up next.